Today is December 15th, and that means there's 10 days till Christmas. Also, I'm not feeling very well, so please bear with me. Today I'm going to use some adult language. This is a video in response to the Jenna Marbles video about sluts. I'll link to that video in the description. It also uses a lot of adult language, so if that kind of thing offends you, you should either stop the video or write me a really long, hateful response in the comment section. You could also like and favorite the video and subscribe to my channel because that would really show me. I want to talk about a few things here. First, the language and why it's problematic. Second, the perceived message and why it's problematic. And third, what I think the intended message was and why it's actually important. I actually love Jenna and will continue to watch her videos, and I think she meant well. I tend to think most people mean well though, so I understand if you disagree. Let's talk about the language. I tend not to use what my dad called bad words when I was growing up. There are a lot of reasons I don't. One is that those words are very powerful, and when you use them a lot, they lose some of that power. If nobody in your life has ever heard you use the F word in over 10 years, and then you get really angry and tell somebody to fuck off, well then you've really communicated your anger. If you use that word every other sentence, the meaning is diluted a lot. A lot of these words deal with sexuality in a very culturally loaded way. And since women are often viewed in our culture through the lens of their sexuality, these words are even more dangerous. They're especially dangerous when they pertain specifically to women. Let's take the word whore. Basically, whore is just a mean way to say prostitute. Prostitute is more precise and conveys a less culturally loaded message. If you mean anything other than prostitute, then whore is the wrong word. And if you mean prostitute, then prostitute is a better word to use for the sake of clarity. Slut, though, that's a word I hate. I hate that word with a passion. Jenna tried to redefine it, but it's so loaded that I don't think she was successful. Slut implies a woman of loose sexual morals. I don't like it because sex is not evil and people who engage in it are not doing something wrong. Most of the human beings that exist in this world are the result of a sexual act. So, if a woman who likes sex is a slut, then almost every woman alive is a slut. I'm a slut, my mom's a slut, my sister's, every woman I have ever loved and respected and admired. All sluts. What's irritating is that men who like sex aren't given a word that makes them less than. Men are supposed to like sex. So men aren't seen almost exclusively through the lens of their sexuality. They are seen as whole human beings, where women are seen primarily through the lens of their sexuality, and then they are made less of through the use of language and cultural for that very sexuality. You see, as Haley, who I will link to in the description, recently put very eloquently in her video, the word slut is used to make women out to be bad people, to be wrong-headed and illogical and stupid. I mean, if she's wrong-headed and illogical and stupid, then who cares what happens to her, right? Jenna uses this language regularly because it gets attention, and she meant it to get attention, but I don't think she realized exactly the kind of attention it would get, and I don't think she meant it the way it came across. I think her first mistake was to use the word slut, but under the circumstances, it's a forgivable mistake because she's Jenna, and this is the kind of language she regularly uses. It's part of the package. The message a lot of people got from this was that Jenna feels superior to people who have sex with lots of partners, and that everybody who has casual sex should be ashamed of themselves and should straighten up and make better choices. Also, there were some interesting messages in there about alcohol and sexuality. Seriously, I don't think Jenna really meant blackout drunk, but then I like to think the best of people. Rape is wrong and bad, and you can't ever blame the victims. The reason you can't ever blame the victim isn't because they shouldn't try not to make bad decisions, but because blaming the victim is shifting the blame from the perpetrator and making it harder to stop problematic criminal behavior of sex offenders who regularly blame victims. My experience in this arena will have to wait for another video though. People who have lots of sex are people, and they aren't any different from you or me or anybody else. In fact, on occasion, that description applies to lots of us in different periods of our lives. Promiscuous people deserve respect and love and understanding just as much as anybody. The whole "I'm better than this other group of people" thing is wrong-headed and kind of evil, and that message has struck a chord with a lot of YouTubers, and we're hearing a lot of backlash against that message. The thing of it is that sexuality is such a huge part of who we are as people, and it's such an emotional minefield that we don't even realize sometimes that we are setting ourselves apart like that. Here's what I think Jenna was trying to say, and I think it's not a terrible thing to say, though I do understand if you disagree. And if it's not exactly what she was getting at, I still think it's a valuable message. Some behaviors are risky, and one really risky behavior is having sex with relative strangers. There are lots of reasons you might want to have that kind of sex, and if you do, I recommend that you use a condom. Traditional intercourse has the added risk of pregnancy, but most venereal diseases can be spread through oral and anal sex as well, so be careful with all kinds of sex. In addition to the risks of pregnancy and disease, there are other risks you take by being vulnerable with strangers. We often think only about the physical risks of sexual behavior, but there are very real emotional risks too. Promiscuity often ends in an emotional train wreck for both men and women. Monogamy can be a great way to minimize some of the risks associated with sex, and I am personally in favor of it. I care about you, so have fun out there, but also please be careful. I think that's what she meant to say. Talk with you tomorrow.